Hello, students. This lecturette is going to be on Module 2, and the agenda for this is Business Communication Framework, your analytical report overview, and then, of course, at the very end, check-ins, discussions, and assignments. So first, we're going to get into establishing a business framework. So the learning outcomes of this lecture is to define communication and describe the value for communication in business, explain the communication process model, and the ultimate objective of the communication process, discuss how information flows in an organization, explain how legal and ethical constraints, diversity challenges, changing technology, and team environment act as contextual forces that influence the process of business communication. Okay, so what is all that, right? So let's start off with communication. The purposes of communication is to inform, persuade, and entertain. It holds a greater position in the workplace. Extremely important, right? But it's also important in all sorts of relationships. Process of exchanging, interpreting information and meaning among individuals involves a sender, a receiver, the message itself, and then of course feedback and interferences as well. So formal, informal, organizational communication. So let's think business in the workplace, okay? Formal communication network occurs as per the formal organization chart, which I'll show you an image of that later at the end of this lecture. Informal communication network develops as people interact within the formal system to accommodate their social and psychological needs. So make sure you know the difference between the formal and informal communication networks. So internal versus external communication, here are some examples here. Internal communications could be the intranet, emails, meetings, trainings, newsletters, and good old phone calls. Yes, you do a lot of phone calls in the business world. I know you guys don't do much phone calls right now, but in the business world you do. External communications could be advertising, news releases, conferences, speaking engagements, thought leadership, content marketing, and email marketing. Okay, so these are the differences between internal and external communications. Additional types of communication that we use and all over the place are websites, social media obviously is huge, flyers. We don't see as much flyers or printed material anymore. Events, you know, pre and post COVID, environmental marketing, word of mouth, job review sites, photography, and a lot of videos now. So some of the factors that influence business communication. There are legal and ethical factors such as international laws, domestic laws, codes of ethics, you know, certain things you can and can't say, stakeholder interests, ethical frameworks, and personal values. There's also changing technology such as accuracy and security issues, telecommunications, software applications, telecommuting, and databases. So all the different types of factors that influence your type of communication. Additional factors could be diversity challenges, such as cultural differences. Some of you may work with companies where you work directly with colleagues that are in other countries or maybe from other countries. Language barriers is a big one when dealing with other countries. Gender issues, education levels, age factors, nonverbal differences, and through the team environment, some of the factors could be trust, team roles, shared goals and expectations, synergy, group rewards, and distributed leadership. So let's get into diversity challenges just a little bit here. Diversity skills affect one's success in today's global environment. Barriers to intercultural communication could be ethnocentrism, which is the evaluation of other cultures according to preconceptions originating in the standards and customs of one's own culture. Stereotypes, interpretation of time, personal space requirements, body language is a big one, and translation limitations. Some of the ways that you can improve your diversity skills is to develop cultural intelligence. So do some research and a little homework on your own. Global Literacy Competence Model, which states that ascending to a higher level of global functioning is required for excellence in a cross-cultural environment. So I know, kind of just an example here, I know working with people from other countries, there's different cultures. Like when you go to China and you work with them, there might be a different set of cultures with the way you eat or drink or pay for the bill when you're in the business environment. When you go to South American countries and Mexico, I've traveled there before for business, and the interpretation of time is completely different there. Everyone's late. Whereas here, we kind of have the concept in the United States like, hey, you better be 15 minutes early to your meeting. If you're on time, you're late. Whereas in different cultures, it's interpreted differently. So those are kind of some examples to give you guys. Technology. So electronic tools help people in collecting and analyzing data, shaping messages to be clearer and effective, communicating quickly and efficiently with others in geographically dispersed locations. Telecommuting helps in reducing travel time and increased work flexibility. We've all experienced telecommuting recently, right? I love not having to be able to drive to all these different places anymore. I love working from home. Social media has also altered communication between organizations, communities, and individuals. We've all seen that, right? In the last 18 months. Team environments. So a team in the business world is a small group with complementary skills who work together for a common purpose. It's usually a goal, a project, an assignment, an event. Strengths. Workers are happier because they're working as a team. Efficiency increases, you get more done. Enables a company to draw on the skills and imagination of a whole workforce. Success depends on synergy, though. So synergy is a situation in which the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. So you got to make sure everyone kind of gets along with each other, works well with each other. So the stages of group formation. So when you form a group, or a team, forming is the first step. Members come together, they learn about each other, determine the purpose of the group. So maybe you're working on an event together for a trade show and you're all working together. You have the marketing person, a salesperson, an operations person, and a product person. Storming. Members engage in more direct communication and get to know each other. Conflicts between group members will often arise during this stage. So you kind of get to know people's strengths and weaknesses. Maybe a weakness is not meeting your due date, and that would be very bad, and it could cause a conflict, right? Norming. Members establish spoken or unspoken rules about how they communicate and work. So this is their status, their rank, and roles in the group are established. So who's kind of in charge, who's the go-to for this and that. Maybe there's someone who's in charge of reports or taking notes, or a project manager to make sure that people are meeting their due dates and milestones. Maybe there's a certain person who reports updates to the higher up supervisor or the director or the CEO. Performing. Members fulfill their purpose and reach their goal. This is the most important step. Adjourning. Members leave the group, and that's after the project or after the assignment or event. Group member roles. So some of the positive roles, because there's positive and negative roles. So some of the positive roles are the initiator, elaborator, coordinator, evaluator or critique, and the recorder. So there's always like a note taker. Usually it's the project manager. Negative roles is the dominator, the recognition seeker, special interest pleader, the blocker, and the joker or the clown. Hopefully you don't have a joker or a clown in the business world, but there's usually always one, unfortunately. So kind of think about these roles here. Which one do you think you are? Maybe you haven't been in a group or team for work, but maybe you have for school, right? Or a community event or a volunteer group. So kind of think about, are you a negative role or are you a positive role? So successful team environment. Ability to give and take constructive criticism, breaking down emotional barriers, ability to promote team functioning, understanding the feelings and needs of coworkers, overcoming cultural barriers, and applying leadership skills. You need to be able to take and give constructive criticism. You can't hold back if you think something's a bad idea. It's not good. And you can't be sensitive if someone criticizes you, right? You need to be able to accept it, grow from it, and move forward. So organization charts. I have a couple different organization charts for those who may not be aware of what an organizational chart is. It kind of shows the status and roles of people. So it usually always starts with the CEO. And then we have different teams set up here. We have a finance team, technical team, HR, which is human resources team, and administrative team. And then under the finance team, you have a certain amount of employees: finance manager, senior manager, assistant manager, and staff. So it kind of goes in the order of who's the higher up and who's kind of on the bottom, entry levels down here. Technical manager, senior manager, assistant manager, staff. So that's kind of how the workflow is. Here's another organizational chart. Starts with the CEO, goes to other C-suites, as we call them, C-suites or chief. So CEO would stand for Chief Executive Officer, Chief Operating Officer, and Chief Financial Officer. If you ever see one of these C-suites and you don't know what it means, you can just do a simple Google search and it'll come up. VP, which is Vice President of Marketing, Engineering, IT, Sales. So see how many different teams are already created here, and then you have people underneath them as part of their team. And these are the leaders. And then these leaders report to the CEO. So those are two different types of organizational charts there you can check out. Okay, moving on to our analytical report overview. There's a huge section in Canvas that explains everything step by step, links with resources, links with samples or examples, excuse me. Do not procrastinate on this. I will have you guys kind of be turning this in 3 steps to force you not to procrastinate, but please do not procrastinate, especially if it's a summer school class or a short class. So all the information details under Canvas under Major Assignments Research page. The assignment has 2 major parts. Analytical report is 200 points. Analytical report presentation is 200 points. Please check your syllabus in Canvas in case this has changed. I believe it changed a semester, but I can't remember which one. So always go to Canvas and the syllabus for the latest due dates and point structure. So what is the analytical report that you guys are going to be writing about? You are going to be evaluating the business programs of 3 four-year universities and determine which university is the best choice for obtaining a master's degree. Not a bachelor's degree, a master's degree in your field of study. So if you're a business major, it would be an MBA, Master's in Business Administration. So make sure master's degree, not bachelor's. Your total report will be 7 to 10 pages in length, MLA format. If you don't know what MLA format is, please contact the Writing Center as soon as possible. It's a free resource on campus to help you guys write better. Please take advantage of it, okay? After you're done with your analytical report, you're going to create a video. This is not a video editing class. I'm not expecting full-blown editing video production. You can record all of this from your smartphone. If you have issues recording, please see me sooner than later because, again, there are free resources on campus for you to record your video. 2 to 4 minute long recorded video presentation on your findings. So you're going to talk about your analytical report in 2 to 4 minutes. Do not go over the 4 minutes. I don't want to see some 20-minute video here, okay? You will get minus points if it's over 4 minutes. So, like I said before, you'll be turning these in 3 steps. The due dates are in the syllabus in Canvas. So step 1 are the names of your schools and the criteria. It explains all about criteria in Canvas. Step 2 is your works cited. And step 3 is your final report. And then your analytical report video. So, Module 2 assignments is your discussion 2. Again, please visit the syllabus and Canvas for all due dates and the most up-to-date on points, and email me if you have any questions.